Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Adam Broda, the founder of Broda Coaching. Adam brings a unique blend of experience from his mechanical engineering roots at Virginia Tech, multiple leadership roles through his career, and now as a career transition expert who's helped over 200 senior level professionals land high impact roles at companies like Meta and Google. He's here to share how he's revolutionizing the job seeking process through Broda coaching, and we'll explore his founding story, how his business empowers clients in the tech and engineering job market, and his vision for scaling this mission-driven venture. So let's dive right in. Adam, welcome to Founders Future.
Thanks for having me. That was maybe the greatest podcast intro I've ever had. You got the podcast voice nailed down, sir. I was
Well,
inspiring.
I truly appreciate that,
I
Adam.
just wrote "get better" on my notepad. No, but I'm glad to be here. Thanks
Absolutely.
for
Well,
having me.
super happy to have you on, and I obviously love the energy already. I truly appreciate that. So let's start at the very top here
Sure.
for our listeners. Adam, take us back to the beginning. What specific problem in the career transition or job seeking landscape, perhaps around hiring efficiencies or maybe senior level challenges, really inspired you to start Broda Coaching?
Yeah. So for me, it would go back to 2019. 2019 was this crazy pivotal year for me and many humans on planet Earth with COVID, right? Um, I had my first child in November of that year. And that was kind of the jumping off point where I was working at Boeing. I was an acting director. I loved the work that I was doing, but I was just working crazy amount of hours, right? I was doing this really long commute, 60, 70-hour weeks.
Yep.
And when the kids showed up, kids have this really cool way of kind of just punching your priorities in the face and then giving them back to you. And that's exactly what happened to me. But yeah, I kind of had this moment where I was like, I don't think this job is going to be able to it's not going to allow me to be the parent that I want to be. And I need to find something different. And I tried to transition inside the Boeing company, but with COVID and the fact that there's no travel and the world is shutting down and no one's buying planes, like the writing was on the wall, right? Hey, there's going to be this big layoff, which there was. I missed it, but there was. But yeah, I started looking for other jobs, ended up making my way into tech. To fast forward into that story a little bit, I it kind of had this other light bulb moment come on when I was at Amazon for probably, 2 or 3 months in. And that light bulb was, I'm making more money. I'm working less hours and I have way more control over how I work and when I work. And I'm not punching time cards and I'm not, I don't have to be on at a certain time of day and be done at a certain time of night. And um, that was kind of the moment where I said, hey, I this role in tech has kind of been life changing for me, right? I can have this career and I can be this parent and I can do these things and I can have my cake and eat it too. I bet I could help other people figure out how to do that. And I had taken several coaching programs at Boeing, through different leadership development classes as I had moved up in level at that firm, and had kind of fallen in love with the mentorship side of my job as a higher level manager. And I kind of said, well, hey, I'm already doing a lot of mentorship at in my corporate role. I have a curriculum that I even created for mentoring. What if I tried to turn that into like a career coaching thing, and and just see where that goes? And I started taking clients from Boeing and working with them, and we were getting people placed into different firms. And I said, okay, well, maybe there's something here. Um, Started to post things on LinkedIn. And I think to answer your question, like what was the thing that I felt like was missing from that space where I could kind of fill the gap? And back in 2019, 2020 even, the answer to that was a lot of the voices on job search and recruiting and career transition that were active in the LinkedIn community or even just the internet as a whole were recruiters, right? It was recruiters and kind of like job search gurus and people that had landed high profile jobs and then were telling you all about how to get those high profile jobs. But there wasn't a lot of hiring managers talking, right? It wasn't like, hey, this is what I actually care about when I look at a resume, and this is what I want you to say in an interview. And, there's a difference between doing a job that you're expected and creating something valuable that wasn't expected. And I just felt like that was the hole that I could fill. I had been hiring for about 9, 10 years at that point, and just said, hey, I've got a lot of hiring advice and hiring perspectives that are not really being captured. So that was really how Broda coaching kind of formalized itself. It was the hiring manager's guide to getting a job. That was kind of the first book that I wrote, and that book turned into our curriculum. And that's kind of how I built my platform on LinkedIn as well, is like, here's my take on how hiring actually works. And it's not like these recruiters are wrong, right? But they're not kind of giving you the full story. So that's how it started.
In the seat. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you had that firsthand experience and capitalized with it. So, I mean, incredible. Absolutely love that. So, walk us through, Adam, how Broda Coaching's offer has evolved thus far. So, how, what you provide, like the Better Work program, the one on one coaching, and who you're serving, how's that changed since you guys first started?
Oh man, it's been it hasn't stopped changing.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I'll try to keep it brief. When I started free, right? I was a one-on-one coach. I was taking people for free, and I did that for probably about 3, 4 months to
Yep.
get some testimonials and just to figure out like what the heck am I even doing. Um, I stayed a one-on-one coach for about 3 years, and I did that intentionally because I loved the job that I was doing at Amazon, right? I like very, very happy with my tech career. I was, building a team and was traveling a decent amount, and again, just happy with kind of the career that I had created for myself. So the drive to like go build a full-time business or even just a more higher earning business was really not there. But yeah, my offer went from $75 an hour to eventually like $150 an hour to I think in like 2021, 2022, I started packaging one-on-one sessions together. So you could buy like a 3 session package, a 6 session package, or a 9 session package
Very
priced
smart.
at different rates.
Right.
Um, 2023, actually, no, 2022 was where I kind of began the process of dabbling into the online course space. So, my one-on-one coaching was kind of like the higher ticket item that I would offer. And I think at that time, I was probably doing like 250 per hour
Okay.
for one-on-one time, which is still quite low.
Yeah.
But I never had an issue with getting people, right? So that was always the cool part. But yeah, started to dabble with the idea of like a low ticket offer to complement my high ticket offer, and I built a course. So I went out, got a Kajabi subscription, and then I started building like modules and workbooks, and I launched a course in the middle of 2022. I think I sold like 50 seats of that course in the first year, and that course was like $170 or something like that, right, per person. So that was kind of what my business looked like for 2022. And then in 2023, some things started to happen at work. Amazon started to force, uh, you know, basically return to office, and then they even started to work on not necessarily mandated, but like strategic co-location, right? They wanted to bring people back to hubs, Nashville, Seattle, DC, and I was actually given a 60-day notice to relocate to Nashville, or I was going to have to resign. And it was at that point where I was like, okay, I've had some success with the coaching thing. I have a pretty decent sized following on LinkedIn. I'm in all these mastermind groups with other people that have figured out how to do this full time. Like, what if I get serious about this? Like, what would that look like, and how long would it take me? So, 2023, I kind of upgraded my course to have videos and a bunch of other things inside of it. I ended up going and hiring like a business coach to help me build the framework for the operating processes that I needed to create. I was very good at the coaching and the delivery and even the customer success, but went out to work with a coach to help with ops. Ended up working with a different coach for like sales and lead gen. But yeah, I would say at the end of 2023, I had taken the course that I had started a year ago and transformed that into something that was scalable. Um, and I ended up launching the first version of our community-oriented program right around that time. And yeah, I'd say 2023 and 2024 were huge shifts for me because I was now running a community-oriented version of my coaching program, which we changed multiple times as we learned and as we got feedback. We raised our prices. The community option started, I think, at like 2,500 bucks per
Yeah.
person. And as the years have ticked on, it's, that price has gone up. And again, like we do change it time to time based off of new things that we bring in or new features that we add. Like, sometimes we'll try different software, or we just partnered up with like a AI headshot generator, and now we're offering headshots and profile pictures to everybody that comes in. So we adjust the prices constantly. But we're kind of in that mid-ticket range. We typically hang out between like 4 and 6 grand. That's roughly what our offer looks like, right now. But yeah, that's kind of been the evolution of how things have changed.
Beautiful. So, I mean, I would love to hear your take on this part, and that's a misconception that people often have about the career coaching industry, especially around its value to job seekers or its scalability as a business.
hmm
Something on that front that you'd like to address.
Wow, that's a loaded question. You've probably learned at this point that I'm a rambler. I'll
Oh, that's
try
okay. I
I'll try
love it.
not to ramble. I could go in a lot of ways with that because I've been coaching now for quite a while and I've seen a lot of things. Um, I will say I'll make two comments. Number one, I would say that there's definitely been a stigma around career coaching for a long time, right? That, you're trying to pay someone to do something that they can't really fully, totally solve the problem on. Um, and I'd say like, yeah, like most career coaches cannot make jobs magically appear. They can't make referrals and advocates magically appear, and that's not the impression you should have when you work with a career coach, in my opinion, right? If you want to go work with a placement agency or a headhunter, like that's probably more your speed, where there's like guaranteed jobs and you're paying for that. Career coaches they're more about the strategy, right? Like we want to help people figure out ultimately at the end of the day, like how we want their lifestyle to improve. Like it's kind of the reverse, I think, of what most people think is that I don't work with clients and say, hey, let's land you a job and let's get you more money. Like that's an outcome of the system we want to create, right? Our goal is to say, hey, like what do you want your lifestyle to look like, right? What do you want your work-life balance to look like? What do you want your day to look like? What do you want your relationships and your health and your, all these other aspects of your life to look like in an ideal state? And let's try to create career options that enable that, right? Or as close as we can get to that. Um, and we help people figure out what those options are. And then once we've got that model of clarity, now it's let's build systems to make that happen as fast as possible, right? And that's kind of the magic behind what we do is those systems. So we have networking systems and messaging systems and content systems, and um, at the end of the day, what we're really good at is making the job search process faster and more efficient, right? We're not magicians. We don't make jobs appear out of thin air. When the market's down for everyone, right? When the market is not down, it's not down for everyone. So, we deal with things kind of in the market just like everyone else, but we've got proven systems and tactics to spend less time doing it and to create higher paying, better quality opportunities. The second thing that I would say is that over the years as a coach, I have observed that the stigma around coaching is also changing, right? Gen Z is way, way more open to working with coaches and consultants and doctors and therapists than the generations before us, where I think they recognize the value and like, hey, why not go? I pay $100 for a gym membership so I can get healthy. Like, why not pay $100 to work with a therapist so my brain is healthy? Like that that time and money spent makes a lot of sense to them. And I think the attitude around coaching is consistently getting better, especially as we talk about like the creator economy, and there's all these experts out there now that have a voice and have a platform, and it's not as hard to find somebody to help with your very specific problem as it was before. That's the other issue that we had 20, 30 years ago. It's like it's way harder to find people, right? Today,
100%.
you just hop on the internet and you ask ChatGPT, and like now you have, 40 individuals that could potentially help.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot's changed, but um, I'm not having to fight the stigma of, am I just kind of like this salesperson trying to sell you on something nearly as much as I used to 6 years ago. I think coaching is way more commonly accepted, especially in the professional space. And the other thing too is I'd say like, you know, when I was at Boeing 10 years ago, the people that had coaches were the executives, right? It was the highest performing people at the company that were spending the money on coaches, right? Presentation coaches and writing coaches and, inspiration coach. Like there's a coach for literally everything. And like I remember kind of having that moment years ago where it's like, gosh, I wish I would have realized that sooner, right? Like
Right.
these high level VPs are paying money to accelerate their growth of a specific skill set so that they can capitalize on that skill set sooner. I don't know why people don't think there's more value in that, right? Like if I can go hire a business coach to get me to 100K in 6 months, as opposed to struggle with that process myself for 3 years, I mean,
Exactly.
that coach pays for itself in months, right? And that's kind of the same argument we make to people in the career space. It's like, I mean, if I can go get you that job in 3 months versus you trying to struggle with, doing it yourself for 6 to 8, like we'll pay for ourselves. So the stigma is changing, but yeah, it's still there to a degree. It's, every year's a little bit different.
I love that. So, I mean, let's get into the nuts and bolts. I don't
Sure.
know. So, I know that the main piece right now looks like that the online courses, it's really fully developed at this point. Are you still doing the one-on-one coaching? So, I mean, how are you fully generating revenue today? How is it structured for your clients when they come in and sit with you for the first time?
Yeah, so as I said, like we change the details of how things work all the time. So I mean, if you ask me this question in 3 months, I'll probably have a slightly different answer. But
Yeah.
yeah, the way our model works is it's basically a one-time payment for lifetime access to our community. We used to have it time blocked, where like you had 6 months to do everything and then you were done. What we found is that we still have accountability systems to help people move quickly,
All right.
but we like our alumni to stay connected. We like that they're there. We like that a job seeker could reach out to somebody already at a company they want to be at,
Right.
and that connection is very easy. So, yeah, as we've grown the alumni community, and we no longer have this, 6 months or 3 months, or there's no timestamp, right? It's once you're in for as long as the community exists.
Love
Um, and that's worked out, I think, quite well for a lot of our members. But yeah, the nuts and bolts are you would pay to join. Um, you would go through an onboarding process, and then there's essentially 8 steps in our career transition system that will work with you through. Um, our community is very much a partnership between the people we work with and our coaching staff. I have 12 employees that are a part of my team. 3 of them are time. And they run sales and lead gen, they run operations, and they run customer success. And then I have a staff of part-time coaches. Our part-time coaches are all industry professionals with full-time jobs. So we have people from Microsoft and Meta and Amazon. We have people that are interview coaches at, large talent placement agencies. But we've essentially tried to go out and find high profile, high caliber specialists for different skill sets. And then we bring them into our coaching community and they do different things. So if you're a customer inside of Better Work, right? Um, what it's going to look like for you is you'll go through onboarding. We'll create a step-by-step plan telling you everything you need to do and telling you all the things that will help you with. Um, there's a coach for every step of the way. I'm a coach as well. And then in addition to some of the partnered coaching that occurs, we have coaching options that happen every single day of the week, just on repeat over and over again. So we do office hours every day of the week. You can call in, you can talk to somebody, live in person. Um, we do coaching through our Slack community, right? You can always send messages and get help whenever it is. We do video reviews. So let's say you're going to get on a plane and you want somebody to take a look at a resume, right? You could submit that through our video review portal. A coach will grab it. We'll film a little video in Loom. We'll send you that video back.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then the last thing we do is one-on-one sessions. We also have private one-on-one sessions that people get access to, and between the combination of those four things, I feel like we cover pretty much every style of coaching someone could want. Again, some folks like more of the one-on-one in private more than they do the office hours. Other people, like video reviews and Slack. It just kind of depends on their preference. But like I said, there's a coach partnering with you on every step of your journey, whatever that journey looks like. And we just work with you until you land a job. Some people want to go really fast and they'll do 40 hours of work a week. Some people are, already have a job and they're just trying to level up and maybe they do 5 hours a week. That's
Right.
fine, right? We can handle that. We limit the number of people in our active job search community. So there's a set number of seats available, and we make sure that we don't go past that just so that we can give everybody a fantastic experience. So, yeah.
I mean, so on that same front, how does I know that you have the team of three that work on that, sales and lead gen side of things. So how does the acquisition process for you guys look? Are you guys running ads? Are you guys organic referral? What's working best for the company?
Yeah, I'd say it's really two things. Most of our leads come through LinkedIn, right? We don't run ads. We don't use a newsletter. Um, we could, I'd say that as we think about scaling strategies for 2025, there might be a point in time where we use a newsletter or we use ads or we use something else. But like I said, like my program is limited in capacity. So like we're not necessarily trying to create hundreds and hundreds of leads. We're trying to create the best quality leads to fill the right spots. But yeah, my LinkedIn posts, I typically post once a day, 6 days a week. My LinkedIn posts generate almost all of the traffic that we need. So our team typically shoots for 100 leads a week. Um, Generally, something like 30 to 40 of those leads would be inbound. Something like 60 to 70 of those leads would be outbound, where we're following with people that have interacted with our posts or we're following with people that have asked for connection requests. But that's mostly what the top of funnel looks like.
Very cool.
And then yeah, we drive that traffic to a masterclass, and then from the masterclass we do discovery calls.
Amazing. Amazing. So I mean, with that, it really sounds like you got this system built out. You're really, providing yourselves with some runway as far as who you're bringing in. So is there even a bottleneck that you can point to growth right now? Well, I mean, whether that be lead gen or converting inquiries or delivering the programs with your current capacity, or things really running smoothly right now?
I'm the bottleneck. I'm a horrible salesperson, so that's the truthful answer to this question. I don't like naturally I don't think in the sales brain. I think in the engineering mentor brain. So generally speaking, um yeah, it comes down to like my ability to convince people that we can solve their problem. Like week to week, typically like, my ability to deliver the master class and to get people to sign up for calls is the bottleneck if there is one. Um, but yeah, no real bottlenecks out at this time. The system is fairly mature and we can predict based on the number of leads that we're going to get what our sales traffic is going to look like for the month. We've been doing that pretty steady state now for probably 3, 4 months. Um, as I talked about, like if we need more leads, I think we have mechanisms to get them, right? We have 15,000 people that have signed up for our newsletter, but we don't use the newsletter. There's always ads, right? Which we could potentially do. Um, but yeah, I'd say at the moment, like Better Work as a whole is doing great. And like I said, we're not trying to jam more people into it. We're pretty happy with that kind of classroom size that we have, and our main priority is just helping people land jobs. And their happiness turns into positive referrals, and then sales gets a lot easier. So we're just trying to sustain what we're doing at the moment, and thinking about what the next chapter looks like is a good question.
Absolutely. I love that. So, I mean, it's going right on that next chapter topic. What are your top priorities for the next 6 to 12 months to continue to grow? I mean, you guys are seeing so much success now. So what's top of mind to keep the growth going?
Priorities for Better Work, which is the name of our community.
Yeah.
I think, the number one thing right now is to continue to update and upgrade the curriculum. So like the videos and workbooks and activities that we do, like job search practices change all the time. What is working changes all the time. And we're going through basically like a curriculum update right now to spend more time teaching the things that are working. We had a lot of success in 2024 with, finding on-site like role-specific communities and leveraging those. And we need to teach more about that. We had a lot of success with, certain types of LinkedIn content, and we need to teach more about that. So priority one is just kind of maintaining the high level of quality for what we teach. And then I would say, in addition to that, the high level of quality for the coaches who teach it. So continuing to upgrade the folks that are coaching inside of our community and how they coach and the experiences they bring to the table, and creating like a well-rounded coaching team so that everybody inside the network, whether they're in marketing or finance or sales, has a coach that they can really, really connect and resonate with. Um, the third priority, if there was one, would just be to think about, how do we scale what we're doing, and what's the point of scale?
Right.
Um, and the answer to that question would be, the point of scale would be, the larger the community is, the larger the network we've created, and the easier it is to find more opportunities, right? Like, networking is the name of the game. So if there's 100 people in our alumni community versus 500 people in our alumni community, like that's a better value prop for our customers. So yeah, we do want to grow it. We want to find ways to help people land jobs faster, and that's kind of the pursuit of greatness that we're on right now, is what do we do to go from 3 to 4 months on an average clock rate to 2 to 3 months on an average clock rate, and what does that look like? So yeah, trying to get better for our the people that we invite into the community. From a business perspective, I'd say we talk about that all the time, right? Like, better work as a whole is pretty solid and is working, and we want it to continue to move in the right direction. But I also don't necessarily think better work becomes this giant, $100 million thing. I think that that's a different project.
Right.
So my brain is, what is the next chapter of Broda coaching doing, right? Who are we coaching next? Maybe we're working with companies, maybe we're working with, individuals, maybe we're B2B, B2C. But like I said, we'll get there. And right now it's just kind of continuing to sustain what's working well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it definitely sounds like it's working incredibly. So, I mean, one more question for you, and then we can
Sure.
wrap up. I have a couple. Well, one more question on this front, and then I do want to go with the lightning round to wrap up here. So, the last question I have for you on this front is going to be, as far as the career coaching industry looks like to you as a whole. So, what do you see as the evolution of the career coaching industry? And obviously, it seems like you're doing some great things, but what are you really focused on to position yourself ahead of that evolution?
I would say the transition that I'm seeing as I, kind of look out there, I talk to hundreds of coaches every year. I have
Yeah.
been for a long time. Is I think there's more coaches that are entering the space. I think more and more industry professionals with 5, 10, 15 years of experience are realizing that they can monetize that experience as a creator. And what creator means is a really debatable term, especially on LinkedIn. Uh, but but yeah, I'd say number one, there's more coaches entering the space and trying to figure out how to monetize and trying to figure out how to help people. And I think that's fantastic. You know, I think coaching will continue to get more niche. That there'll be a coach for literally everything, every single specialization, and I think those niches are really important. Um, Broda coaching, in terms of like how we get ahead of that, we started offering a coaching coaches program several months ago, and that actually turned into a partnership with some other people that do business coaching and other types of coaching, where we call it the LinkedIn Coaching Accelerator. We just announced that a couple days ago, and we'll look to formalize the first cohort of that program in April. And kind of like, back to answer your other question, right? Like, Broda Coaching is the umbrella company, right?
Right.
Better Work is my coaching job seekers program that is doing great, and then, you know, LinkedIn Coaching Accelerator is coaching coaches. But yeah, I think, the fact that I've figured out the process and that other people have figured out the process, there's an opportunity to help others figure out that process, and that's kind of where I see the trend going. That is until AI shows up and then just replaces all of us, and we're all
Yeah.
gone. Uh, but but yeah, yeah, that's what I think it'll look like for the next couple of years, and
Yeah.
it's exciting.
I mean, AI is definitely coming in hot. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
something that I talk about all day, every day with other founders. So yeah, I mean, definitely something to keep on top of mind. So, Adam, to finish us off here, last question, and then we can wrap up. And this is for our listeners, right? So, other founders and entrepreneurs that are really just getting started. Obviously, you're seeing a ton of success. You are extremely intelligent. I'm, super grateful to have you on, and an extremely hard worker. So, what piece of advice can you give to our listeners to really help them on their journey?
I mean, it's the same advice I would give to myself five
Yeah,
years ago, right? Is I think the number one mistake that I made as a coach early on, or even as a person trying to explore the creator space,
yeah.
I did things by myself for too long, right? I kind of said, "Hey, I can figure this out." And the mistake I made there is not that I couldn't. It's just it wasn't my full-time job, right? I was kind of leading a family and a full-time career, and the time I had to invest in learning coaching and business ownership and things like that was pretty small. And I wish I had brought in other people sooner. Um, not necessarily that I regret anything, but that's the number one thing I would say is don't go it alone. Like you really don't have to. There's a lot of fantastic people out there that help help people solve problems and learn information and scale and do things efficiently and effectively. And their time is probably worth it. And that's not necessarily a pitch for me.
Right.
That is truly the lesson learned that when I started working with the right people and partnering and getting into some of these mastermind communities, like the rate of learning just skyrocketed, and I started figuring out how to do things much more effectively, and I got more testimonials and I made more money, and I grew my following faster. And yeah, don't try to figure out everything on your own just because you can, right? I think there's definitely a sunk cost fallacy baked into how business happens, and your time is the most, valuable thing. So if you can get farther along in your business with less time spent, like that's the piece of advice I would give you is find those opportunities to do that.
I love that. Well, with that there, that does wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Adam, just want to thank you so much again. I mean, a remarkable journey so far. Truly appreciate having you on. I know I'm going to continue to keep up with you and what you're doing with Broda coaching. I know that it's going to continue to expand. It's clear as day that your passion lies there, and you're going to continue to blow it up. So I love it. I'm super happy to have you on. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.